hands. I saw like stop motion, like like crafts coming, like streamers and like tinsel coming out of the faucet is what it looked like. I mean, I knew it was water, but it looked sort of like stop motiony, and like not, I don't know, it didn't look like real water, I guess. And I was like, whoa, this is what I was like waiting for. And when I went back to the room, everyone else was on that level. And so we took the L. They have the L in Chicago, the elevated tracks. We took the L downtown and we went to see a movie, which is kind of a weird choice when you're on drugs. But we went to see. Do you remember the movie Speed Racer?
I have to race, and racing is what I have to do because racing is what I love, and racing is racing because racing is ha ha ha.
I didn't get that far into the movie. So that's what
That's
John.
A great movie to go see.
I need to revisit it.
Acid.
What I remember sitting there, I was like, it looked like, I remember seeing John Goodman, and it looked like he had like his face was moving. Like I think he wore prosthetics for that movie. Am I right?
I'm not sure, but like, didn't Emil Hirsch? Isn't that the name of the actor? He played Speed.
I think so. Yeah.
Racer X, which everybody knows it's his brother, but his brother will never be like, yeah, I faked my death so I could help you be the best racer ever because I'm like super weird. But, like, I could have just been like in your life and supportive of you being a racer and in your corner, but nah, I had to fake my own death first.
I need to revisit this movie because none of that is ringing a bell.
I'm not even sure if that's even remotely correct, but
but I was tripping out, and I was like, I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know if what I'm seeing on the screen is real or if it's in my head, but I couldn't handle it, and I was like, we need to get out of here. And so me and a friend of mine who I was sitting next to, we left and we just walked around downtown Chicago. I remember at one point I offered my entire wallet, including my credit card and driver's license, to a homeless guy because I was like, this is fake. You can have it. And the guy like was graciously like, no. He's like, don't do that. But could have easily taken it from me. So bless that guy. We kept walking around, and then we walked in front of in downtown Chicago. They had like the big TV news building. They had big like LED screen with all the news reporters, like this kind of still shot of them. And I remember walking by that, and had their faces had the same effect that John Goodman's face had on the movie screen, where they were like warped and weird, and I was like, couldn't handle it. Like ran away. I feel like I'm not selling acid right now, but
I hope not. That is a felony, sir.
And then we ended up continuing to like walk north of downtown. We walked through this park that was like, I don't know what time of year it was, but there were all these trees that had these tiny white flowers on them, and the petals from those flowers were like slowly raining down all over the park. So it looked as if it were snowing. It was just like magical. And we just kind of like spent some time there and like took it in and like, breathing and like feeling like one with nature. And yeah, and then we ended up walking to Lake Michigan, to the beach, and we met up without texting anyone, without calling. We met up with the people who we had started the night with. Just like our paths crossed somehow in a city of, I don't know, how, like 4 or 5 million people.
In the city that has the population Chicago does, and we are correct.
Right. Yeah. And then we just kind of spent the rest of the night together, talking, laughing, and yeah. And then I went back to my dorm. I had a record player there. Put on John Coltrane's "Love Supreme." If you know that album at all.
Jazz baby.
Jazz baby. Yeah. And just kind of like tripped myself to sleep. And yeah, that was a pretty extreme like experience. I think the first acid trip someone has or mushroom trip is always pretty extreme. But since then, every time I've done it, I've felt a lot more like, I don't know, like you sort of gain mastery over it in some way, and like you know what to expect, and you can still have those like crazy experiences like that, but you can sort of like internalize it in a really like lovely
You
way.
you find that through this chemistry, you are
Mhm.
achieving a level of introspection that the normal human being would never be allowed in their entire life.
Ooh, I think that that's probably saying a lot. I think that
Now, remember, I use the word normal because
that's
now
pretty normal.
there are
Yeah.
some people that can gain this level of introspection through, therapy, through trauma, through
Mhm.
meditation, through prayer, through, all of these different kinds of things. But like, the average Joe that's like fucking up to their eyeballs in debt, like completely and utterly anxious and angry at the fucking world, and they don't know why, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, could
I would.
certainly
Okay.
benefit from like enjoying like a trip like this. Like me
I think
personally,
yes. I think given that like qualifier, I would say that doing hallucinogens helps me to like access a certain spiritual experience that I would say is abnormal um, and invaluable too. So, um,
I've never done acid.
okay.
Um, I've done mushrooms. I did them. I did them when I was 19. I just turned 19, I think, when I did them, or like just
Okay.
before I
Happy
turned
birthday.
19. There is evidence out there that would suggest that somebody who has taken hallucinogenic drugs such as DMT, psilocybin, lysergic acid, diethylamide, just saying big words so I seem smarter than I am.
Very
um,
good. You got me.
so like they do say that their perception of reality is different from those that haven't, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, I'm the type of person that I love drugs and alcohol so much to the point that I don't do them anymore. So
Okay. Are
you
you
know,
completely sober?
yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am.
Good for you. How long? That's great, man. How long have you been sober?
Today has been 82 days,
Wow. Okay, that's
but
amazing. Yeah.
I,
Do you
I
feel good?
haven't. Yeah, I haven't drank alcohol though since August 2nd.
Okay.
So that's like a thing. Like that's why I say on my streams, like when people like what are you smoking? What are you drinking? I'm
Yeah.
like, no, this is just pure,
Yeah.
unadulterated insanity.
Oh, that's good, man.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
How? Do you mind if I flip it a little bit? Like,
well, I was just about to say, I've been asking you so many questions. Now
yeah.
it's your turn.
Well, I'm curious how you're doing with that. Has it been a struggle?
No,
No.
it hasn't.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is so I feel comfortable speaking to you about this, one because you're a complete stranger, two because like anybody that knows me and actually knows me in real life knows that I have a fucking drinking problem. So
Yeah.
you
You
know
got yourself into some trouble.
it's not that I got myself into some trouble with it. It's like right now I am the most emotionally, like, I think, stable I've been in a long time, and that took a long time to get to because of accepting the fact of how emotionally unstable I am right now.
Yeah.
So I put down the alcohol because my wife pretty much, in so many words, gave me an ultimatum, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I did what I could to save my marriage.
Yeah.
And what happened is like, okay, so I put the alcohol down, I lost 40 pounds, I got a
Okay.
promotion at work,
All right.
shit was going good, but I was still getting high every day, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know when my wife left me 82 days ago, you know I almost drank over it. So I made the conscious decision, because like the longest period of sobriety that I've had in my life was 4.5 years.
Yeah.
But I never did any of the real spiritual work, because like there's a lot of things that, when it comes to the whole idea of like what alcoholism actually is, it's not something that has to do with somebody being weak-willed or this,
Mhm.
that, and the third. Like, you know what I mean? Like a diabetic person, their pancreas doesn't create insulin for them, therefore they have to take a shot for it because there's something fucked up in their body,
Yeah.
right? So when somebody who suffers from alcoholism, which is a disease, which is a mental illness, you know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
it's also a physical allergy. So what happens is when an alcoholic takes a drink, they can't stop drinking. They just can't.
Mhm.
You know, it might be like, okay, they stop, you know, they have one and then they stop. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, I just had one. Like this is like for me, like that was kind of like the way that shit had gone for me. But for me, like, you know, it's not like I can even blame really anybody but myself, like for the shit that's kind of happened, right? Because I choose not really to blame anybody but myself. Like, was my wife shitty to me? Of course she was shitty to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
But
I mean,
like,
you could even go the route of blaming your genes, if you have like family members. But I think that that like blame game is ultimately useless, right? Because who's going to be able to get you out of it?
I
And
believe you're
yeah,
100% responsible for your life or you're not. You're 100% responsible for the relationships you have. You're 100% responsible for everything and anything that you do. You're 100% responsible for not getting on a treadmill if you said that you were going to run that day.
yeah,
You know, you just didn't. You either did or you didn't. There's no shades of gray with that. You know, because every single human being has the power of choice in some semblance and in some instance.
yeah,
Right now, there can be extenuating circumstances that take that power of choice away from you. You know what I mean? So like for instance, like for me, you know, like it's really difficult. I was with this woman for 9.5 years. She was my everything. She was my whole fucking life, right?
yeah. How old are you?
Me, I'm 30. I'm 31 and a half years old.
31 and a half.
And
Okay.
I say it like that, you know, because I say it like that when people ask me on my streams, because like when Bugs Bunny would be like, I'm 3.5 years old.
Oh,
You know?
oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Bugs Bunny. Yeah.
So you know it was a thing for me where like, and the funny thing is like I haven't really, you know, spoke too much about this like with anybody like on the actual podcast. Like I've made, you know, like real things, but like for all intents and purposes, my wife didn't love me anymore. You know, it's not like there was any sort of infidelity. It's not like there was any sort of anything like that. It's just like the person that I was, who she fell in love with, I wasn't anymore. And
Yeah,
the reason that I wasn't that person anymore wasn't necessarily just because in time, like we were growing apart,
yeah.
but
It's
it was because no matter how I cut it, no matter how eloquently beautiful I could put it in song, I could put it in poetry. You know what I mean? It all boils down to the fact that like I chose to get drunk and to get high because it was more important to me than she was.
yeah.
You know, and it's something like I'm totally fine saying this because I don't think she'll ever listen to this fucking podcast. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
But
I'm
like
not.
it's just one of those things where like, you know, I didn't lose really any stuff, but what I lost was everything internally. And I'm grateful in the sense that like I've done a lot of spiritual soul searching. I've
Yeah,
done a lot of reading. I've done a lot of meditating. You know what I mean? But like
yeah,
now I can say wholeheartedly that I have a real dependence
yeah.
on a God that I understand.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this I- and man, that's so much to go through, and like yeah, my heart goes out to you. But I'm
Thank
wondering
you. Just please don't pee.
um
A
uh
little comic relief, I guess, right?
it's needed. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was 82 days ago that you
From
had
today, yeah. From
that
today.
you had your last not drink.
No, no, no. I had my last drug
Okay.
a week before that shit happened because
Okay.
like
And I'm wondering, is there something like, did you feel or do you feel like um there's a hole now? Like, are you feeling that vice or like with something else
no,
or no?
it's kind of something where, like, you know,
That
imagine